All right, CEO Council, you are in for a treat today. I have the pleasure of introducing Robert Irvine, a world-class celebrity chef, entrepreneur, tireless philanthropic supporter of the military, and the host of the Food Network's show, Restaurant Impossible, now at over 200 episodes. So Robert really knows how to run a successful business. As the founder of multiple companies, he has 2 restaurants, Robert Irvine's Public House at the Tropicana, Las Vegas, Fresh Kitchen by Robert Irvine in the Pentagon. He's also the owner of Fit Crunch, Robert Irvine Foods, and Boardroom Spirits. I'm going to talk to him later to see if he has a tequila for me. So Robert Irvine has a heart for giving, a big heart. A portion of the proceeds from all his endeavors benefits the Robert Irvine Foundation that gives back to our servicemen and servicewomen and first responders. For his charitable work and service on numerous USO tours, Robert is the recipient of several civilian honors, including Honorary Chief Petty Officer of the U.S. Navy and the Medal of Honor Society's Bob Hope Award. So Robert's passion for helping our military, it began when he joined the British Royal Navy at age 15, where he was a cook for over 10 years. When not filming for television or working overseas with the USO, he can be found on tour with Robert Irvine Live, an interactive cooking challenge done before a live audience in packed theaters. So Robert is also the author of 5 books. Okay, how do you do this? Like, I barely have time every day.
Somebody else does it.
It's amazing. 5 books: Mission Cook, Impossible to Easy, Fit Fuel, Family Table, and his new book, Overcoming Impossible: Learn to Lead, Build a Team, and Catapult Your Business to Success. And that is released February 14th on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So, and one thing I found interesting, since I'm a fitness buff, is you will see in a moment, he is very fit. And he is known as the most ripped chef on the planet, which is going to be interesting because you're surrounded by food all day and you're traveling over 300 days a year. So I want to know how you do that. And now I'd like to introduce our moderator for today's Fireside Chat. And it's our own Jose Forquet. He is a CEO Council board member, a managing director of Merrill Lynch Wealth Management. So before his career on Wall Street, Jose served our nation in various capacities, including over 6 years as an operations officer abroad with the Central Intelligence Agency. So join me, please, in welcoming the great chef Robert Irvine and our amazing Jose Forquet.
Yeah, we got to move these up.
I hate sitting back there.
Yeah, it's a little dark. Welcome, everybody. If I haven't seen you, Happy New Year. I don't think it's too late to say Happy New Year if I haven't seen you. And Robert, thank you. I know that...
I'm not nervous. CIA, I'm in.
Well, the waterboarding jokes, he was joking about waterboarding him here or whatever.
It's so funny because he talked about waterboarding the minute I walked in. I was in Camp X-Ray in Gitmo when we were still waterboarding. Literally.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Only last year did they take Camp X-Ray down. You know why?
I know, but tell them.
Because Amnesty International were complaining that the dogs, the service dogs that we had fans and water, and the inmates didn't. And it kept it up that long. It literally came down in March last year.
Yeah.
It's now a recreational space for 5,000 people.
So we just gave you water. We're not waterboarding you. This is going to be very nice. He's a personal friend. I love him.
But we share the same passions.
I know. And this is special that, Andy, you did this for the Special Operations Group. So that's awesome. And I appreciate that you didn't wear a t-shirt because I was concerned about the banker uniform with the t-shirt. I couldn't pull off a t-shirt like you pull it off. So I'm glad you wore long sleeves.
Well, it's funny because I debated putting a shirt and a jacket on, and I thought, well, the top Fortune 500 companies in the United States, the CEOs don't wear suits and ties to work. So I stayed the same.
Well, I'm not a CEO of a Fortune 500 company.
You run $24 billion worth of a company.
That's great. Well, listen, the most obvious question for the local audience is, you're from the UK, your wife Gail, who's lovely, is from Canada. Why did you choose to live here in Tampa Bay?
When I came out of the military and met Gail when she was a WWE wrestler, she was based in Tampa. I was living in South Carolina. And that 5-hour trip up and down the Florida corridor is not a great thing. So I moved here simply because of the airport.
Really?
Yeah, the airport, I can go anywhere around the world. And it's the simplest, and I will never move here. Never move from here. I can be in Europe or anywhere really quickly. So Tampa Airport, and the weather. I love the weather.
State income taxes?
That's not my worry. I have people to do that.
I know. You have a lot of people. He just told me he has 5,000 employees. So that's a lot of people to manage. We can talk about that in a second. Yeah. But listen, this is the cliche question. Keep it brief because we can spend the whole hour doing this. How do you go from a cook in the Navy to a celebrity chef? It's a long road, but how?
Well, it's interesting because I started as a cook at 15 and a half years old. I joined the British Royal Navy. My mother was not enamored with me. I would not go to school, or when I did go to school, she would go to work. I would double back and drink beer with my friends. So one day she called the house, picked up the phone. I picked up the phone and said, "Hey, what's happening?" And she said, "You are so much in the shit right now." She marched me down to the recruitment office, and I became, so the English is very different to the United States. Here in the English, we do one test for English, one test for maths, one being the highest, 5 being the lowest. I got 5.5. The guy said to me, "Oh, congratulations, you're in the Majesty's Royal Navy and you're gonna be a cook." And I went, "Yay, great." Because that's what I was doing and that's what I wanted to do. I was 4 years as a cook, went to special operations. You call it JSOC, we call it Special Boat Service, SEAL teams, for many years. And the reason I did that is because I was cooking on a line at Paul, Hamworthy, Dorset, where the special operations were. I said, "Oh, these guys with beards and these looking shabby, shitty looking people, what do they do?" And anybody can do that. It took me a year for selection. Here we are. After I came out of the military, I decided that I wanted to go back to cooking because I didn't want to do anything where people would tell me what to do anymore. I'd done it all my career. Started cooking, got a couple of local TV shows. I wrote Dinner Impossible, which has done 280 episodes of what you would do in the military, which is literally drop in the middle of nowhere, which I did in Afghanistan 1,000,000 times, feed 30,000 people with nothing, and move on. And that's the show that was a hit. Restaurant Impossible came after. I'm sorry, you're wrong. It's 320. It's my team's fault. 320 episodes. It's been running for 13 years. We have 6 TV shows, and it's just life. 11 companies, 5,000 employees, and that's it.
Yeah. So
I have a lot of luck.
So everybody here owns or runs a business, as we explained to you. I'm sure that people along the way helped you to push yourself to levels that probably you did not think were possible. Mentors, sponsors. Who were they and what lessons did they teach you?
I think, look, every lesson in life comes from not only CEOs. You weren't born CEOs. You were born people. Mistakes happen along the way. You meet, and I can tell you a story of a young man named Ruben Espinal, who I was the executive chef at Trump Taj Mahal. We were doing $784 million a year on a casino floor, $15 million in food and beverage. And Trump brought me from Jamaica and said, "Look, I need to make money on food and beverage." Great. I had 1,000 employees, a young chef, 30 years old, a union, the heaviest union in the country, culinary union and service union. And I fought the president. I got what I wanted out of that. But we went from 15 million to 83 in 1 year. Very successful. But this kid, I'd been at the bar after a Saturday night. There was a big show in the arena. I'd been with a couple of chefs. And I came out, got into my car. And as I was driving out, there was a kid sitting on the floor, on the wall against the pub or the bar. And for whatever reason, I stopped. And I said, what are you doing? And he said, oh, I've got nowhere to go. I said, get in the car. I took him to a local diner. Could have killed me, but I don't know. For whatever reason, I don't know.
Sometimes
I put him in the car, went to have something to eat. He didn't have anywhere to stay. I bought him a hotel room close to my house for a week. And I said, look, if you need a job, come and see me. I was 3 beers and 2 tequilas in. He came the next day. I made him a dishwasher. I got an apartment in an old building that we had attached to the hotel. Fast forward, every day he would come to me and say, can you make this dish from the Dominican Republic? And I'm like, no, nobody's going to eat it. So for years, he kept coming back every day. Here. I eventually made him a cook. To this day, he's an executive chef of a hotel in Atlantic City because I picked him up. And don't ask me why, but that's the inspiration I get. Another one, very quickly, I had a talk show, 180 episodes, an 11-year-old kid named Hunter, watching porn, stealing iPhones. His mother told him off one day, so he burnt the house down. His dad was incarcerated. This was 5 years ago at this talk show. I put him on the show, and he gave me a piece of paper like this. And I said, what's that? He said, well, read my story. And I said, you see that name behind it? It's Robert Irvine. You read the story. He was 11 years old. 11 years old. I said, all right, get down, 20 push-ups, 300 audience. 20 push-ups, I can't do 20 push-ups. I put my hand on it, I helped him. I said, it's easy when you have help. Fast forward, 2 days ago, I got an Instagram from his mother. His mother had a rap sheet, she couldn't go in the Pentagon. His dad was incarcerated for drugs and a kid that's burned down a house. I said, I'll tell you a deal, I'll make you a deal. You go to school, you do an after-school program, you help people, I'll call you every Wednesday, you'll call me every Friday. I'll talk to your school teachers, you'll call me. I said, if this is the case, and you do your job, I will bring you to the Pentagon, I'll sit you with the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the Secretary of Defense, I'll let you drive a tank. He wanted to be in the military. So we did that. His mother could not get into the Pentagon because she had such a big rap sheet. Mm-hmm. So we took him in with the chief of police, sat him with 15 Medal of Honor recipients in my restaurant. I got a text, and I can show you all, and a picture saying thank you. He's straight A student in college right now, getting ready to join the military. That's inspiration.
That's awesome.
So I find inspiration comes from anywhere.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You talked about creative and inspiration. I mean, you're a tough guy, but you're in the creative fields, entertainment, cooking, that's all creative. Where do you find your inspiration with all the noise of all these companies and everybody who wants a piece of you? How do you inspire yourself, remain creative, and most importantly, inspire your 5,000 employees to be creative and see things that maybe you're not seeing? Because, you know, the weight of the business makes many of us just not have time to think, but you are in a creative field.
I think it stems from the people that you surround yourself with, right? When I get up in the morning, we're in clothing, we're in food, we're in protein bars, we're in technology. The excitement for me is the game, it's not the money. It's saying something, people tell me, oh, you can't do that. Then that's like a red flag to me. Somebody said to me 8 years ago, oh, you can't do a protein bar, there's 231 protein bars. I said, yeah, but there's not a baked bar. Here we are, that company is worth 450 million now, right? In 95,000 retail locations. It's about doing something that people say you can't do. I've been with Comcast, NBC Technology for 11 years. I'm a cook. But I can walk into American Airlines, I can walk into Cisco Foods, I can walk into Walmart and tell them how their systems are running incorrectly and how they can better, just like on Restaurant Impossible. Systems are put in place and can always be upgraded, although CEOs, and chefs, by the way, are all egotistical in that they don't want to be told something. And I wrote a book specifically about it that comes out on the 14th. about how do we listen and challenge each other. And I've been in CEOs, Fortune 500 companies, and the CEO is like, no, there's one up the road in Orlando, Disney. I've dealt with them for years. Same thing. I'm dealing with the senior leadership in the military, changing feeding across the platform with the chairman of Joint Secretary of Defense, the chiefs of all the branches of the military. And if they don't want to do it, you come across that wall. You have to surround yourself with people that have a like-minded adventure as you do. How do I change something that's been going on forever? And it's like hitting your head on a wall and something different's going to happen. So for me, the challenge is, oh, you don't think we can do that? I took a base, Camp Lejeune, and I said, well, I can drop the feeding cost, give you a better, resilient soldier in 30 days. Oh, no. Yeah, you can. Let me take your blood, let me change your diet, and let me show you how to do it, which is what we're in the middle of right now. So I think, again, the question is, you've got to be able to challenge people. And it's okay to challenge people at the right time, with the right information, and the backup to go with it.
Are you equally okay with your staff challenging you?
Absolutely. Doesn't work otherwise. I hire people smarter than me. I'm a cook. I make souffles. I'm the CEO of souffles. I've got way smarter people.
What's your favorite flavor of souffle?
Probably caramel, salted caramel.
That's good.
Not bad, right?
That's my favorite.
Well, you know, I'm gonna make
You may have to make me one someday.
Karen might. I don't know.
Karen, yeah, you give her the recipe. Give her the recipe. So you mentioned the military, and you're passionate about everything you do, but your real passion is your foundation, the Robert Irvine Foundation. I
Yeah,
think.
but I want to go somewhere before that.
You want to go somewhere?
Yeah.
Let's go wherever you
because
want.
Let's talk about failure.
Okay.
Talk about failure.
He gave me a sneak preview of his new book that comes out on the 14th. Can we change? The audio is a little off. Okay. Can you guys hear well in the back? You can. On the 14th of next month, his new book comes out. We are buying copies for all the members. Unfortunately, the book is not out yet, so you will be getting it hopefully in the next event. And a quote from the sneak preview you gave me says that failure is the best teacher. Those are your own words. So,
Failure. Listen, I've had so many failures. One of them, I'm sure you've all heard about it. Listen, I was going to open a restaurant in St. Petersburg. Anybody heard about that one? Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, right. Long story short, I was in a bar one night, told a story. You know, it made headline news. I was actually in the White House when CNN broke this news that I made the cake for Princess Diana. True story. And
is that a true story?
no, it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't. That was a bar story. I was blackmailed. It's not common knowledge, but blackmailed by a certain family. If I didn't pay them money, they would go public with a story. Well, they went public with a story. And my whole resume was called into question. Did I work for the royal family? What's on the royal yacht? Did I work? I was actually in the White House when this story broke. Suspended from Food Network until they did their own internal investigations and all the things that they do. Everything I said that I did do. I didn't make the cake for the royal wedding. Although I was in Chatham Dean, the school where it was made. My boss was the maker of the cake. That was a failure. I mean, it put me on hold for 6 months.
But they got you back. They took you back.
Because everything I said was true. In my resume, it was true. But there were people that wanted money and things like that. That was one major failure that could have took me down. There was another one where I buy a lot of technology. I buy a lot of drinks. I bought a company that was a sports drink. I took it to market, 100,000 cases. I put it in at $3.99. It should have been $2.99. It sat there forever. It failed miserably, but I did a deal with Coca-Cola. And part of the deal was, hey, we have an iced tea. Can you get rid of your performance tea? And I said, oh, I don't know about that. It was failing miserably, but we did. I used them as the excuse to get rid of it. Failure is a learning curve. And these two failures were based on egos, my ego. And the book that I've just written is about trust, managing egos and your own, and building your team based on the like-mindedness we just talked about. So failure is okay as long as you don't repeat those failures. And egos get in the way to try and keep up with the Joneses, right? I want to impress you because you're the CEO of a company, so I'm just going to make whatever up. And I think that's the biggest problem with people. You want honesty, that's honesty. I had nothing. I literally, in 2008 when this happened, I almost lost everything. And yet here we are with, a lot of money, a lot of people, and doing a lot of things. And it's so funny because when this Tampa thing came out, not only was it in the White House, I ended up doing a dinner with Michelle Obama and George Bush, which I know you're close. I'm very close with the Bushes. They came out and said, oh no, whoever said this is what he does for us. So it's kind of funny. But egos get in the way, and you have to be able to trust the people that you work with.
That dark chapter, how did it change you as a person?
What I learned from that was, A, don't drink and talk shit.
That's good advice.
Number two was...
I concur. I'm not a celebrity chef, but I agree.
Number two was, be careful what you say, because people hold you accountable, and there are people out there that don't want you to succeed, and they will hone in on that. So look, I'm a public figure. I travel 345 days a year. I'm on 6 television shows, 170 countries, 1 billion viewers a week. They live and breathe on what you say. So you better be factual. So that's what I learned. And it was a big, I had reporters on my mom and dad's house in Salisbury, Wiltshire, talking to them about this. And I was actually in the Oval Office when this story broke. And the president just looked at me like, I won't say what he said, but anyway.
Presidents curse in private, I can tell you that.
It was, yeah, so look, I own my failures. And I think the lesson is, listen, give the platform. The platform is not about you, it's about the people that work with you. Not for you, work with you. Because you're only successful, and teams know this, as your lowest, or your lowest, so.
Yeah, I've learned that success comes from the people who are below you and around you, not above you.
Yeah. But you should know every one of your employees, their families, their hardships, their birthdays, and if you don't know that, then you're not, great, you can run numbers as a CEO. But what happens when you drop 15%? Where do you go? You go down, 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 and you say, oh, why are we dropping 15%? And I sat at a dinner last night with the CEO of a major beverage company, and he said to me the same thing. He's like, so why am I losing market share? Well, go to your people, find out. Some of the biggest companies in the world, billions. Cisco Foods, $47 billion, only have 19% of the gross market of food. Why?
Yeah.
Same with CEO of American Airlines, or CEO Dave Seymour, right? I go into their systems and look at their systems and how they treat people. I'm a systems person. That's how I was trained. If I can walk into your business and I can spend 2 hours with your people and find out what you're doing wrong, which we as leaders should be seeing before it comes to the negative. Empathetic leadership. Trust, empathetic leadership, and egos. 3 things to run a business.
I want to go back to the foundation, but talking about failure, I was very moved by your last episode, because the new season's out. Tonight is episode 3, right?
Tomorrow.
Today's
Thursday.
Thursday.
Today's
Tonight.
It's today?
Tonight.
There you go.
Episode 3.
They all ended why with me.
So just in the theme of failure and encouraging people to put themselves out there, in the last episode, Julian in the Navajo reservation,
Yep.
the daughter was a potential solution to fix the place, and she was very afraid of all the expectations placed on her, and you told her, I thought this was awesome, and I'm going to use it. I'm going to steal it with my own employees who are insecure. You told her, there's no other expectation of you other than you work hard. And if you work hard, things will work out.
Yep.
Where do you get the acumen to help people see potential for themselves that they don't see themselves?
I think life.
In the show, which we'll touch upon, or in your business?
I think in life, you again, getting to know somebody, right? The video you just saw about the special operations, right? We know the kids of those fallen heroes, right? Getting to know people, their weaknesses and their strengths, and surrounding them with positive reinforcement of the things. Yeah, that's good because these are suck.
Better? Okay, great. Thank you.
It's these rooms, ceiling's too high for that.
And him being in show business, I'm sure his head was exploding. So
Positive reinforcement, and by spending, and it's a special operations technique, interrogation, 5 questions, rapid succession, we can find out what happens. And if you watch the show, I use it a lot, because by the time I'm getting to the 5th question, you're answering me the first question. And they'll tell you the truth of things that are going on. Once you understand the person, you can give advice. My advice over 320 episodes of television and lots of other businesses is about finding out who you, the person, is in order for me to be able to help you. We all have daddy issues. We all have grown-up issues. We all got baggage somewhere, but we don't want to talk about it. But the better you talk about it, the easier it is to fix. And I use that psychology in my business, in my personal life, and on the show. Know the people you work with or for, or the business you want to go for. I better study you and I better know you before I walk into a room with you. And then I better be real with you. Because reality gives you business. I'm okay. Look, I made mistakes. I stand up, I hold my thing, and I'm national television. Hey, I made mistakes. But I don't make them mistakes twice. And that's how you become successful. Owning your business and talking to your people. What do you want out from this relationship? Where do you want to be? I sat with the CEO of that company last night. I said, look, we've just rolled out a national liquor line. I'm not The Rock, 600,000 cases, $3.2 billion in a matter of a second. I'm not George Clooney, although my wife hangs out with him. I don't know why she married me, but anyway. To me, I said point blank, look, I want nationwide distribution. I'll cut you in as this. We'll do this. We'll do this. We walked away with the deal. Last Friday, the same thing with the food company. We serve food around the globe for the military. Every state, every country that our military's in, we send food to. And ships and carriers and the 13 carrier groups. So for me, I go in with a purpose and a win-win. It has to be win for me and it has to be a win for you. It's like a marriage, because if I'm happy and you're not, business doesn't last long. I mean, it's just common sense. Business is not difficult. Business is about understanding the people you're working with, what they want out of a relationship and what you want out of it. And they have to be able to trust you. I get a phone call from Korea at 2 o'clock this morning saying, hey, look, we need X amount of stuff on 6 weeks from now and this, because there's going to be a surge. You'll know more about that than most people. I have to adapt to that. But that's what I signed up for. And I think all my people, we have a rule in my team. We have 100 senior leaders. We just had our big retreat in Arizona last week. 5,000, just under 5,000 employees worldwide. They have to pick up, my senior leaders have 15 minutes to pick up a phone call. I don't care what time of day it is, where you are, or who you are. Because that's what I have when I have to report to somebody else. And I think that's when you instill that, it works. And you asked me a very important question. Do you allow feedback? Yes, absolutely. Feedback through the chain goes to one person, then I get the feedback. Then twice a year we do a retreat for everybody that can zoom in and partake in that.
You've touched upon everything you do for the military. Anything you want to add about the foundation and the work you're doing? Just like we had, a non-for-profit speak here, people may want to know about what your foundation does and how to support it.
So just like the special operations, in fact, I just did a SEAL team dinner 2 weeks ago here. Our foundation, I worked with Gary Sinise for 15 years. Gary Sinise and I met via Twitter. He was going to Alaska, and I was going to Honduras for a special operations 4th of July weekend at Sotacana Air Base. All drugs, great drugs, 400,000 pounds of cocaine. And we were going to celebrate them catching this cocaine. He said, "Is this the real Robert Irvine?" I said, "Yeah, I've got a tick, a check mark. But you don't. Are you the real Gary Sinise?" And he's like, "Yeah." So anyway, we ended up working together for 15 years. He said, "I've got this idea of the Invincible Spirit Festivals. You feed 8 to 10,000 people. I'll put on a concert and it'll be great." And I'm like, "Well, where does the food come from? What about the equipment? All the logistical." He said, "Oh, that's you." So for 15 years we partnered. 8 years ago, I started the Robert Irvine Foundation, which is all about mental and physical health. So what we do is provide, anybody heard of the iBot? The iBot is a wheelchair that gives back freedom, stands you up, goes up and down stairs on its own, over terrain. We also do 6x6 dogs. I build houses. You can check it out on the robertirvinefoundation.org. We just finished our end of year video. We have big events every year, Beats and Eats. We have red wine and blues, golf course tournaments, all those kind of things. But 100% of the money goes to the end user. I pay for the foundation. It's growing rather large right now. But we built Gary and I built the only 5 quadruple amputees houses in the war on terror. We built for smart homes. We built 160 homes altogether, but that's what the foundation does. So, I mean, I can go on. There's a lot of foundations. I feel that America, and I get very passionate with this, just like you guys, I think America has forgotten that we have still warriors. And I was in Syria 2 weeks ago. I'll be back with Syria with 5th Brigade in a very short period of time. I can't tell you when, but so I know this fights. I know wisdom in Afghanistan. I was in Afghanistan 27 times. From Abrams and the rest all the way through to the close. So for me, it's about educating America that we still have fallen heroes, our Gold Star families. I do a weekend in DC, Memorial Day weekend, 1,000 Gold Star families. We take over the Marriott Hotel and we give the kids a week of great stuff and grieving, just like we do with Sinise in Orlando, with 2,300 families. It's crazy. We take over Disney. Just happened. I just took back the 63 World War II veterans and the last 6 remaining USS Arizona veterans back to Hawaii in November. And there was a 103-year-old guy on there, and I won't swear, he did. I was the flight attendant. So we cooked a meal before with all the Medal of Honor recipients to send them off. We got on a plane, went to Hawaii. And this one guy says to me, "Listen, Robert, I didn't go through all these beep, beep, beep wars, so I couldn't get chocolate sauce on my ice cream." I said, "Well, look, we've got macadamia nuts, we've got coconut, we're going to Hawaii, dude. What do you need chocolate sauce for?" And he swore at me. I said, Jesus. Went up to the cockpit. I said, "Captain, can you ask anybody for a chocolate bar? Anybody got chocolate?" We got some chocolate bars. We melted it in the oven, 270 degrees. By the time I got the chocolate to him, he was sleeping. So I went up to him. I woke him up. I said, "Hey, I didn't go through all this shit just so you could sleep."
You can see. Take the chocolate.
Well, here's the story. I put it on. He ate it. The minute we touched back in Dallas, he passed away. It was the most amazing. And he's
Killed him with the chocolate sauce.
Yeah, I put cayenne pepper in it. No, it's those moments. It's those moments that make what we do on this planet. Look, We can all make lots of money. It's easy. It's the legacy you leave behind while you're on this earth. What did you do good? Our retreat, we just fed 100 homeless veterans in Phoenix, and the local government gave a Holiday Inn that's dilapidated. We're now going to rebuild that to put 187 homeless veterans in that place. That's what we're on this planet for. This is network that can do it. So there you are. That's what the foundation does. RobertIrvineFoundation.org.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for all you do, brother. Okay, let's switch gears. Restaurant Impossible. Restaurant Impossible. I don't know if you guys watch the Food Network. That's his current show. Basically, his producers find struggling restaurants all over the nation. He goes in and in 48 hours with $10,000, he turns them around. First question I asked him the question privately. I'm going to let him answer it because the answer is pretty interesting. I never believe what I see on TV. I think it's BS that you go in totally blind in 48 hours and your people haven't designed the plans and have the supplies. How do you make this happen? In like the last show, they were like an hour and a half away from anywhere. I don't know if there was a Home Depot 2 hours away. Seriously, I'm calling BS. Is that really legit?
I'm going to call somebody, but I'm going to answer the question. I have zero knowledge of anybody I go into. I literally get there the night before. Hey, this is Jill Littman. I'm doing a little engagement here. And I just want you to answer something. The question was, this person thinks it's bullshit that I don't know anything when I walk in the door. Can you tell people? I see, FaceTime me. Just do as you're told.
This was not rehearsed. I assure you that.
This is my executive producer. Her name is Jill Littman. And there she is. So, can you ask her the question?
Hi, Jill. It's Jose Forquet. Jill, Jose Forquet. Nice to meet you. And I'm really sorry that he's embarrassing you like this.
To meet you.
But I actually question the
Not at all.
authenticity of 48 hours, $10,000 going in blind. Is that true?
100% true. We don't tell him anything ahead of time. Does he want to know? He wants to know it all fresh and yeah.
Hang on. That sucks.
Hold on, the president's calling.
Just audio.
Should I go again?
Yeah, go again.
It's 100% true. He absolutely does not know anything going in.
So in
We
the
want it
last
to be- he wants-
episode,
he wants to be authentic and have first impressions like any customer would have, and to be able to figure out problems as he goes. So we make a plan, but he doesn't know it.
so Jill, the last episode was in the middle of the desert. How can you get the materials to get this thing done in 48 hours?
2.5 hour drive either way.
We have a designer and a contractor, and they have a car and they get things as they need them. But that's part of the challenge of doing that show in 2 days.
Thank you. Have a nice day. I'll call you later. Love you. Bye. So, literally 70-mile-an-hour sandstorms in the middle of the Navajo Nation, which was the last show you're talking about. There's a 2.5 hour drive to the closest city, or closest depot.
Where they lived.
Yep, they lived there actually, and then drove 2.5 hours. Tonight's show is about an overweight Hawaiian who almost died, and we saved him. You'll see the show. I'm not going to spoil it, but you'll need a box of tissues tonight, I'll tell you. It's really, these are real stories, real people, real problems, and we give real solutions. And 320 episodes in, the last 3 years, I can tell you, we are 96% successful in the shows after I've left for 3 years. Our largest debt was $1.1 million in a restaurant it's called Off Street Cafe. You can check it out. It's in Cerritos, California, in a mall. 3 generations, grandmother, daughter, and daughter, mother's daughter, granddaughter. They do $3.4 million a year now after paying off the debt 8 years later. So the show works if people listen. But again, egos get involved. People they want to change back to something they used to because we're comfortable with what we do. We don't want to change. The show will go on forever because we get 2,000 applications every week for restaurants. We pick 5, they go to the network picks it, not me. I just get a plane ticket, I get picked up, and I go to a restaurant, and I start all over again.
Well, you have evolved personally from season 1, where it was like a bully beat down drill sergeant kind of Robert, and now you still tell him the truth, but you're kinder, softer, and then towards the end it becomes family therapy or like negotiations between partners and therapy. How did that happen to you? How did you evolve? And have you had any training along the way on counseling or that kind of?
No, when we started the show, I wrote the show, sent to the Food Network. They didn't want to do the show. I told you, 280 episodes of Dinner Impossible, which was in silly situations and feeding people. There was no real end game. If I didn't make a souffle, okay, you didn't make a souffle. There was nothing there. But Restaurant Impossible, it was real people. And when I first started, it was only a 22-minute show, by the way. It was a 22-minute show, get in, fix something, and move out. Well, my first episode was in New Jersey. I'd been at the White House for 2 days. I went to the restaurant to do this show, and the guy said to me, "Can you bring the president?" I'm like, dude, he's not coming to your shitty restaurant. Not kidding. It was awful. I had a designer and 2 designers, husband and wife, or boyfriend and girlfriend, whatever they were, and Tom the builder was with them. So I said, look, we can't paint the chairs with oil-based paint. It's too cold. It will never dry. I argued with them point blank to the point that I wanted to just shoot them. I said, okay, what's the backup plan if that doesn't work? Well, they didn't. So I ordered banquet chairs. Well, the young lady come in a purple long evening gown. There was 400 people. And them days we used to change not only the restaurant completely, but also the menu in the kitchen. And that particular episode, the chef quit. I hired a new chef. He quit in the middle of it. And it was me left cooking and expediting for 400 people. The girl sat down in a purple dress. She stood up to go to the bathroom. She looked like a zebra. Everything was wet. It was awful. I fired the 2 people, the 2 designers, because hate is not a word I use. Dislike intensely. But I kept Tom, the builder. So Tom's been with me 14 years. We've done the 320 episodes. He's now working on another show with HGTV with me at the end of the month. And I think the softer Robert has got, because before it used to be about tables, chairs, and things. After the first 6 episodes, it started to move into people, but it was really about the clock, because it's real time. I have to open that restaurant. We go in at 9 o'clock in the morning. I do a service. We empty the restaurant at 2 o'clock. I work through the night. I design the restaurant on the fly based on what's around and what I think it should be, based on talking to you, the owner, and what your dreams were. Then I have to figure out a menu. Then I have to teach the staff the menu, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really real. Designers now are Lynn, Tanya, and I have one that's in and out. But my whole team production, Jill's been with me longer than I've been married. My whole team stays together, television team and everything else. But it's real. It's the change became really apparent. We went on hiatus after 10 years, for 3-year hiatus. I continued to build the companies, my companies, and I started to listen more. The more you listen, the more you'll hear. And I don't mean that metaphorically. I mean it. Listen to what the people are telling you, and in the undertone of that conversation, you'll learn an awful lot of. And I started to do that, and I found I was having better results and getting more things done in my own company. Then I transferred it to and even the Food Network said, "You seem not as intense right now." And I said, "Well, watch." And there are moments. I had a pastor in Cape Canaveral, literally, of a mega church in Orlando. He had a restaurant in Cape Canaveral. I said to him, everything I ordered on the menu, there was nothing there. Now, this is a pastor, a man of God. I said, oh, you don't care. His head swiveled around, he spat blue stuff and green stuff at me, and he kicked and punched me. Literally, physically kicked and punched me because I told him he didn't care.
Not a very smart guy looking at you, right?
No, but in my ear, I had somebody saying, if he hits you again, don't hit him back. I'm like, are you kidding me? Yeah, I mean, look, I've had violence, people do strange things when they're put in a corner. And you know that. Military guys know that. You know that from CIA. You have to expect everything because it's their life savings, it's their world, it's their everything they have, their marriages, kids that don't want to be in the restaurant business suffer because their parents have a dream that turns into a nightmare. And that's any business. It's not just restaurants.
Yeah. So those are a couple nightmare stories from the show. 2 questions. What is your batting average in terms of success after you go and do them? How many survive? First question. Second question, tell me a happy story, a memorable show, a memorable restaurant that makes you really happy and proud. That you
so you obviously
influenced.
weren't listening when I just told you 96%. And you were CIA? Jesus Christ. 96% in the last 3 years.
96%?
Pre-COVID, we were batting about 40 or 50. But then COVID happened, and it's funny because when COVID happened, I was getting FaceTimes and calls, and we just finished a show in State College, Pennsylvania. I got food poisoning at a golf course that I was staying at doing the show. COVID happened. I went home for 3 weeks, and they said, oh, there's no travel, there's no this. I said, no. I called the president of Food Network, Courtney White. I said, look, we need to be on buses. We need to be doing something because people are hurting. And we did. We got on 6 buses. We did 66 episodes of TV through COVID. 6 buses, 6 people on each bus. It was all stupid anyway, because, if one got COVID, we all got COVID anyway. So, and a truck, and we parked these trucks in a circle. Every night we had barbecues in the middle. We had a DJ. And we traveled the country for 66 episodes of TV. Nobody else was on the road. No TV was happening, no movies, no nothing. It was just a band. It was like a circus. So 96% in the last 3-4, almost 4 years. The best, so there was a young lady by the name of Caitlin in San Diego. If anybody remembers this, one of the biggest things I teach is failure. You have to be able to accept your failure. Once you accept failure, you can build. And I kept saying, well, you failed. I burned $100,000 worth of fake money to prove what she was throwing away. We finished the show. She eventually said she was a failure, not in life, just in business, and doing great. The restaurant was on fire. I mean, I talked to every person we've ever done in a restaurant except one. I'll tell you about that afterwards. I continued to talk to them. She got on a motorbike at night, got on the way home, got hit by a drunk driver who stole a car, left her for dead. So her mother called me and said, hey, she's in critical care. She's brain damaged. I don't know what to do with the restaurant. So DJ, DJ, my lawyer. So we literally dissolved the restaurant, her restaurant. She's brain dead. So she's lying in a hospital. And I said to the Food Network, this is bullshit. We got to do something. This is our family. So they said, okay, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to go up. I want to take over this place, and I want to raise some money. So they said, okay, we'll give you, by the way, a television show is $440,000 an hour to produce. My show. Said, go and do it. We'll give you $100,000 for the fund, and just go and do it. So I called the mayor's office. I said, look, I want a street fair. I want to sell tickets. I want all the chefs that we've done in that area to come and partake. And we did. We raised a couple $100,000. We closed the restaurant. She's one of my closest friends. She's now, she's doing Tough Mudders. She's not driving yet. Her motor skills are coming back slowly. She's in brain school right now. And I think that's one of the happiest stories, because this person, who, by the way, there was no fingerprints in the car, there was nothing, they couldn't find the driver because he ran, and it was some friends at the Secret Service that managed to do some stuff and find, and he's now in jail. But that was one of my happiest moments of doing the show, is being able to not only see success of the restaurants, but also to go back and know that Food Network are the same like-minded people as me to help somebody else.
Yeah. Their values are aligned with your values, and you can do a lot of great things. I want to go into Q&A. You're going to get a chance to ask, but fitness is really important to you. You've said how much you travel, 66 days on a bus. How do you stay fit with all the travel that you do?
So I'm leading right now with the military the change of feeding across the board. I jump out of planes at some stupid heights, 44,000 feet and
Halo.
15,000 feet and 800 feet. I travel the globe. I'll be in Hawaii in a couple of weeks with Special Forces guys out there. And when an old guy, I'm 57 years old. When an
You're
old
1
guy,
year older than me.
no, listen to that story. When an old guy drives up in a bus, no, you're way old, dude. Drives up in a bus, and you have 400 young 20-year-old Marines that say, oh, there's that old guy. Let's F him up, right? And you get out, and you have to do the two mile march and then the PT on the thing, and you got to keep fit. So for me, it's about putting up and shutting up. I've got to be able to do as good as you as a 20-year-old kid. I've got 2 new hips, 2 triceps, 2 new shoulders. I mean, I'm pretty...
But does the
bionic.
network help you? Do they set you up with good food and gyms when you're on the road? Or
So I have a team. So my only ask is hot tea on set. A gym, I partnered with every gym, Planet Fitness. So I partnered with Planet Fitness, Chris Rondo, because not only for me personally, because they're in every state, in every little state, but also the National Guard are held to the same physical fitness that we are in the active duty military, but they have nowhere to train. So I had Chris Rondo open up all these Planet Fitnesses to National Guard and reserves and their families, so they have somewhere at a lower price to work out, so they can keep the physical fitness standards. So yes, I have a gym, I have a kettle, I have English breakfast tea, and the rest is up to you.
That's great. Well, Alyssa, I don't know how we're going to handle the Q&A. I think
Because
have
we took
15
the
minutes.
mics.
So do we have microphones for the audience, or were these the microphones?